Welcome back to my channel. I'm Julia, and I'm inviting two of my guests and interesting soul, Wendy and Z. And let's talk about
why is it so hard to find a boyfriend in Shanghai?
And why it's so difficult to find a girlfriend in Shanghai?
Very interesting topic. Are you single, Wendy?
Technically, yes.
Are you single, Z?
Absolutely yes.
Oh, I'm single too. Three amazing persons here. Yes, that's the end of the video.
Why are we single? Julia.
Because it's hard to find a boyfriend here. But I think the important reason is that maybe we don't want a girlfriend that much. I mean, I think that's a deeper question. I do feel if you want a boyfriend or girlfriend, you can find it. You just lower your standard.
I think it's expectation. I think kind of what Julia just mentioned, right? We have a lot of expectation of what dating should be from social media, from our friends, from our past experience, and then second, it definitely tie up to a time. I think we are moving in a such fast timing, and I think what Julia also said just now is it's easy to find someone, but to have a deep, nourishing relationship is going to take a lot of time to invest into each other that unfortunately a lot of us don't have. Both of you probably have successful jobs, especially in Shanghai and other first-tier city. We are all busy, right? And lastly, I think comes down to like a self-understanding. I think this is the last one, but I think a lot of us really just put work and in their life before relationship, and relationship takes, unfortunately, does take a lot of time. So I think that's something that we have to learn by understanding ourselves.
Wendy, do you have your opinion?
I think that so living in Shanghai is fun, but staying here is not easy. So I've seen during the last couple of years, people come and go. So like you said, it takes time and effort to build a healthy, nourishing relationship, right? It's even harder when people can't stay here because there's no guarantee that people will stay here for the next 10 years, 20 years. You could build a beautiful with someone for 2 years and all of a sudden he's gone because he's lost his job and he's out of his city. So naturally you would want to find someone that could stay in the city. So he needs to be financially stable, right? He needs to be able to stay in the city, and it's very hard. So the standard bar is really high. So that just narrows down to the number of men that we could choose to a very small number. So it's just objectively, it's just hard. It's competitive.
我觉得一个就是数据上来讲，就是就像你说的，很多男生他可能面临着买房的压力。他们如果说到一定的年纪，可能如果在上海买不起，就会回老家去发展。而女性她没有太强大的一个买房的压力，会留下来，它就是会导致在一定年龄之上的男女比例可能不平衡。家可能越觉得女性事业很成功，然后工作也很不错，然后长相也很不错，但是适婚年龄的或者说适合谈恋爱的这个男性群体的数量就变少。你觉得呢？就是像你刚刚讲的这个，可能很多人就走了，但是女生留了下来。
我觉得这也是一种传统文化的一种 the shadow of our culture, right? So 对于男性而言，他需要去 establish something in so that could stay. For women, it's a different story, right? You find a good marriage so that you could stay. So I feel like it's not fair for women because if we keep that narrative, right? What about women who could establish? What about pretty poor young boys? I love them in this city. I don't need them to be rich. You know? So I feel like it's just a shadow of traditional culture that haunts us. And it forces men to leave this city because they knew there's no way they could establish anything today.
It sounds like we are, on one spectrum, we are looking at the reality has shifted. 10, 20 years ago, we were all living in the same city for the rest of our life. 10, 20 years ago, we were stable, right? We were expected to have these narrative of just staying in the same place, having the same job. But today, not only women changing every day, the hikes coming in, every day I feel like there's a new thing coming up. How can we, provide each world is today is tariff, tomorrow is war, and then the next day I don't even know what's happening next day, right?
How could you expect a stable relationship when the world is unstable and chaotic?
Yeah. And that gets amplified in first tier city, right?
I can feel like that can be an excuse of not trying to form a relationship.
Correct. I agree, right? Like I think I myself are currently on that path of, first of all grounding myself, but I think to a larger perspective, 100% we gave ourselves a lot of doing this thing right. But I think the ultimate question is, why is this thing so difficult and why are we not doing it right? Like kind of what this topic is about. It's a very difficult thing to do because it's different than what we are taught, what we've been taught every day, where you go to work, you go to study, you go to work, you go to do, and everything has a direct result. Whereas relationship has no direct outcome. It's supposed to just be like give, and then something comes back. So there's like a conditional trade-off that's not being shown, I would say. I drift off a little bit there.
我为什么有点 sidetrack？
对啊，我感觉刚刚筛选了，
我也 sidetrack 了。
对，
我刚刚其实本来有想接的话的，我一下子，然后想接的，我说你刚刚在讲什么？
Yeah.
不是，我感觉我们稍微有点沉重。
对 I
稍微
think
有
we
点
need to
沉
have
重。
more fun.
This
Right?
is old people conversation.
So what is special in Shanghai that caused this situation? That is our topic, okay?
Yeah, okay.
It's a high city.
Mhm.
That's why. If Shanghai is like you need to pay a really high end, and there's only like 5 people in the stew, and it's really hard to
I
find.
mean,
a boyfriend.
relationship life is like in a zoo. You need to pay the
Yeah, like Shanghai has a very high outdoor ticket.
outdoor ticket.
Like outdoor ticket, right?
Uh,
You need to pay, then you enter the.
okay.
So not many people enter. It's also because the way they're selecting people to stay here is based on how much they have, basically, right? That is not the most important thing in a relationship. Sadly, a lot of men that could have a good relationship with women, they could not stay because they did not pass the ticket.
I think what she's saying, from my understanding, is that the good might not be able to stay here in this competitive nature to even keep a normal job, right?
Yeah,
Like they could be good husband,
Yeah.
good boyfriend material, but in this environment, it's very competitive,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because from what I'm knowing is that a lot of women, they are husbands who already has an apartment in Shanghai. Many times I'm shocked by their standard.
Yeah, I feel like there's two things I'm kind of take us to, right? The first part is, I think the exciting part is the world is finally doing a reset. So today we were talking about rental price, right? Remember 4 or 5 years ago in Shanghai, rental is anywhere from 50% to 30% higher
Than now.
than now. That is, just think about that a minute.
Yeah.
So maybe a funny question is, think about it, just even you two successful ladies, right? What minimum that you need for order to date you? Let's lower your bars, like 50% discount rate. What would you do? Instead go to the high end and start fun end, right? Reduce the minimums.
I feel like actually even my mindset has shifted even here compared to years ago.
It's a
Because
30%, 50% discount.
Oh, more than
Now we have a deal, guys.
I'm not like any girl who needs someone who has an apartment in Shanghai
Yeah.
just to date them. But before, my thought was like, he has to earn a decent salary just to date me.
What
so
was that decent? Honorable.
we can be on the same level of spending, that you are
Okay.
not dragging me down on some level. But right now, actually, I have changed. I have come from spending 35K a month to probably 15K a month. Yeah, I buy 0 clothes and I barely eat out. I have very simple lifestyle. I don't need a man who spends a lot as well. We just need the very minimum just to have a nice life here.
Gracious for you to actually like admitting this, right?
Yeah.
Very brave for you. Right?
Ladies and gentlemen, dating in Shanghai, we
Okay.
should start now. It's 50% cheaper.
For both men and women. So what would men want a 50% discount on?
The hotness.
Ooh, hey, that hits my heart.
We
Yeah.
should not
What
give
about
the
the-
hotness, the look, the discount.
Well, outside the monetary needs, what other, I wouldn't say discount, real expectation, reset that we do.
Definitely yesterday about why people over 30 or over 35 are single if they don't want to be single. Why is that? And then the other reason that when you talk about is that people have the unrealistic expectations about themselves and about who they can match in the market, which is very true because everybody thinks they are some sort of good at some way, but in the market they are not that demanding. Actually, back to the reality. We are talking about the reality. I do feel like another reason that let's talk about women. I do feel like one of the reasons that women are single is because they have the wrong opinion about if they are successful enough, they just deserve better, which is wrong.
I really think the straightforward answer to these days why dating is difficult for either sex, right? It's really, we are not, if we faces dating the way we faces work, imagine, you guys been to how many interviews, you guys been to how many companies, had to face all of these difficulties in every single job. You use that same energy, same mindset today, guys. I guarantee that every single woman will have a boyfriend by tomorrow.
I feel like...
And same as men. And hopefully they both sides can learn how to really communicate the way they can communicate to their work, right? I think there's a multi-layers. Besides interviewing, there's communication, there's how to interact with the work, how to play the work politics, which is emotional politics between two people.
Yeah.
The multi-layer of our professional world, so complex, yet holy cow, we are good at it, right? Like most people at least can get a job these days. Lay off, get another job, right? They get a less job or better job, that's another field, right? But we are all working.
That's a very good metaphor, I think. I feel like a lot of us are single is because we don't learn how to be in a relationship. Nobody teaches us. And I do feel like that's art, or even technique, or skill, or knowledge. I mean, it's a subject that we need to learn.
It's gotta be a major in college. That's called intimate relationships.
Oh, you know what? We should do that.
Crazy part is like, as I'm listening to you guys, right, one thing I even want to add is like, I think in the past few years, especially since COVID, one of the biggest change factor is all our jobs, right? For the first time, people are getting laid off now because of AI. People are getting laid off and people lose a dream job. It's the first time that even in your best performing world as a professional, you get fired, you will have failures. Relationship is the same thing. Just because you fail one time doesn't mean you fail forever. Just because you lose out on a 5-year relationship, you stop learning, right? I think that is the hardest part where we have to accept that failure in a relationship is just as normal as failure in the professional world. How many job interviews have you guys failed?
I failed many at the beginning as well.
It's crazy amount of numbers. I would never just go to a single job and just get the job. Okay, no matter your resume. It is this funny thing. No matter your resume, you go interview, you still fail. Does that mean you're not good enough? No. It just means you and that job doesn't match. That's it.
Definitely.
I feel like men and women, right? The single man and woman who's unwilling single in Shanghai, right? What they need is a shift of mindset. So they have adapted the modernized mindset for their work, but not in their relationships. And that's where they get what their dream job, right? But they did not get their dream spouse, right? Because they're playing with two systems. One is working in this modern society, right? And the other is not. And I feel like it's just they need a quick fix of mindset.
Yeah.
I do feel like your work is a career, and in some ways also
a career.
And actually, I don't want to deny that a lot of people are single. Also because they are busy at their work. They don't have enough time just to go meet someone. Because going out meeting someone takes time and a lot of effort and energy. I think it's hard just to build a very successful, busy career and at the same time trying to meet your future spouse. And I feel like we can find a good excuse and a very good excuse for those people who are single. And you need to take time to work for your relationship.
Just figure out what your priority at the time is.
Definitely.
You're ready for that relationship. And it's funny, as I keep listening to you, the other thing pops up to my mind. I think at work, there are a couple versions of this usually happens. One is called managing up. I don't want to say in a relationship you're managing up. Your boss is your boyfriend or girlfriend, but that's one approach of you are actually managing people that's outside of their control, but making it work, right? And you're getting good at it, and that's how you advance in the corporate world. I think in the relationship, you're just going through interviews, you eventually land in the team, whether your boss or your colleague, you're gonna have to manage the expectation and find a way to work with them. And in some ways, I use the word managing up is because a lot of times people forget that if you know how to manage up, you actually know how to work around a lot of things. That's when collaboration happens.
But I thought about what you said. It's just very hard to mirror that in relationships, right? Because you get too close. It's dangerous, right?
So that just makes the game harder.
Yeah. Because if it's too close, because in work, many of the time, I feel like many of the times colleagues don't know who they work with, who really is the person that he works with.
Mhm.
I've many times people will say to me, "Oh, do you know that guy plays with women's emotions and stuff? And he's trash, but he was really good. He was really professional at work." So there was no way to know who he really is at work because you have that safe distance, right? But in relationship, on the other hand, it's too close. It's really hard to be logical and distant and even make the right decisions.
What I would want to say is that in her side of the view is that some people treat their job very separated from their personal life. So what's happening in the work is totally different than how they interact personally. So maybe at your job you interact with your people that reports to you, right? It's very professional. You keep that distance. You say you do certain things, right? The boundary is very clear, right? You are working together. That's it. There's no strings attached. There's maybe just some money. If you don't like it, you move on, or maybe some achievement. But in relationships, there's just so many different boundaries that are unclear. You sleep together. You share maybe a bank account, intimacy, emotional, right? And then in Asia culture, there's a huge thing. Is also family gets involved. All this massive complexity. How do you work out on that, right? So yeah, in some degree, I just have to agree with you. But at the same time, that just means that wouldn't then that just makes relationship even more difficult? That means we need to invest even more time.
That's what I was trying to say, because there's so much chaos in this thing. So that's why we need to find a tactic to get through this, right? There's got to be a way. I'm not gonna say manage, but just work it through, right?
Wow. Finding a relationship is already difficult,
Oh.
but manage one is even more difficult.
No,
Talking about it makes me tired. This is
Okay,
crazy.
we're supposed to talk about step 0, right? We're supposed to talk about step
We
0.
can talk about manage a relationship a bit later because as all of us are single right now.
那说中文了，现在我。
让我们说中文啊，男人都在哪里？
Oh, that's we are talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
男人都在，好男人都在哪里？好女人都在哪里 ？Right? Where are these people? 我们上哪去遇上他们，然后你才能选，对不对？你需要有 options， 你才能选。
Welcome to Julia's event.
Hello，
就是
我们重新开始的
对。
可以。
，refresh 一下。